Hello, and welcome to a video that elucidates one of the aspects of the human experience that for most people is hidden in plain sight. The statement, "How you do one thing is how you do everything," speaks about a fundamental aspect of how we interact with physical reality and the state that we operate from when we do so. It is thus both about our inner world and the mirror of our inner world that we find outside of ourselves. This expression, often cited in motivational talks and self-improvement books, suggests that our approach to small, seemingly insignificant tasks reflects our attitude toward larger, more significant aspects of our lives. The principle is simple, and we will focus on how it can play out in our day-to-day experiences so you can get a firm grasp on how it works. What it is all about is that even though we can acquire skills and improve our ability to perform different tasks by repetition, we also have a default mode from which we approach everything in life, and this default mode runs on autopilot until we start paying attention to it and take conscious control over it. There is also another aspect of this that is less talked about, namely, as we pay attention to how we perform the small, repetitive, everyday tasks, we bring more consciousness into our lives in general. We pay attention to our lives instead of just letting them pass by while we're off somewhere else. This is a habit that not only pays off when taking on greater tasks, but it's also an essential part of spiritual awakening. To unravel this, let's start with the concept of consistency. Consistency in our actions, regardless of their scale, speaks volumes about our character. If you're diligent in small tasks, such as organizing your workspace or punctually replying to emails, it's likely that this meticulousness extends to more significant projects and responsibilities. This doesn't mean perfection in every endeavor, but it reveals a pattern in how we approach our duties and challenges. Consider the world of sports as an example. A basketball player who consistently practices basic skills like free throws displays a dedication that often translates into overall performance during a game. Similarly, in our lives, the discipline we apply to mundane activities often spills over into larger endeavors. It's about building a habit of commitment and excellence, regardless of the task's perceived importance. In all of this, self-knowledge is crucial. It may seem self-evident, but many people tend to ignore that they have their own ways of doing things that work for them, and instead try to shoehorn their actions into pre-existing models of how to do things. One person may, for example, thrive on efficiency, getting as much done in as little time as possible, while another needs to do things slowly and methodically. What is true for both, as these factors are universal, is that they need to sharpen their skills in relation to their personal proclivities, and both need dedication and awareness in the tasks to which they apply their skills. This concept also touches on the idea of integrity. Doing the right thing when no one is watching is a true measure of one's character. It's easy to cut corners on trivial tasks, thinking they don't matter. But if you approach even the smallest task with integrity, that sets a tone for how you handle bigger challenges. It's about being consistent in your values, whether you're handling a minor issue or facing a major life decision. How you handle your life when no one is watching will be the biggest determinant of what character you develop. It might seem like you get away with things when no one sees you, but every action you take, every word you speak, and even every thought you think contribute to who you become. You may think of it in terms of acting as if someone is watching, even if no one is. How this plays out can clearly be seen in the areas of learning and growth. The way you approach learning a new skill, even something as simple as a new recipe or a smartphone feature, can be indicative of how you face learning in more complex scenarios. Are you patient, curious, and open to making mistakes? Or do you easily get frustrated and give up? Your attitude in learning minor new skills reflects how you might tackle learning in your career or personal development. Everything in your external experience starts with how you approach it on the inside. This is not as hard to do something about as it seems. It's just that, throughout our lives, if we are like most people, we have been conditioned to focus on what is happening outside of ourselves, while the real change takes place inside. The commitment to performing even the smallest tasks in a conscious, present, and thorough manner starts on the inside. Of course, if we've practiced just forcing things in one way or another with no real care put into them for most of our lives, things will not change immediately. This is why we shouldn't attach importance to the results that we are getting, but just bring our attention back to what attitude and in what spirit we do things. So pay attention to how present you are when you are performing your tasks, whether you think consciously about what order you perform them in, and what thoughts pass through your head as you do. Do you care about how you are doing what you are doing, or do you just want to get it over with so you can move on to the next thing? Usually, this latter approach, while it might feel efficient to just rush through the parts of life that you don't really care for, usually ends up slowing you down, both because you have to go back to correct mistakes afterward, and because this has a ripple effect on how you do other things. This is not just about how you perform specific tasks, but about engaging fully with the present moment, instead of just waiting for tomorrow while trying your best to get away from the here and now. So by adopting this attitude, even seemingly unwanted situations can become a practice that will help you become better at what you truly want to do. And this is a higher, more conscious perspective, which, when applied, may lead you to discover that those unwanted tasks suddenly sometimes feel pleasurable. This is, of course, not always the case, at least not without a lot of practice. But this is an important key if we want to approach life in a more conscious, energetic, and free-flowing manner. This maxim also has implications for how you interact with others. If you're thoughtful and kind in brief, everyday interactions, like thanking the bus driver or being courteous to a waiter, it likely reflects how you conduct yourself in more significant relationships. These small acts are practices for the larger acts of kindness and understanding in our lives. As already stated, this philosophy underscores the importance of mindfulness and presence in our daily tasks. When you're fully engaged, even in a simple activity like washing dishes or walking to the store, you're cultivating an ability to be present and attentive. This mindfulness can dramatically improve your performance and enjoyment in more complex or enjoyable activities. However, it's important to strike a balance. This saying shouldn't lead to excessive pressure or an unhealthy obsession with perfection in every task. Not every action needs to be executed with the same level of intensity and precision. It's about the underlying attitude and the general approach, rather than a rigid rule applied to every aspect of life. If you, for example, feel like listening to music or a podcast while washing the dishes, it's of course entirely okay for you to do so, and none of this is intended to make you feel bad about the ways you handle your life. It's so easy to misunderstand this. You make the choice on the inside about doing things in a focused, committed manner, and find out what way of approaching the tasks at hand that are most suitable for you. Then you train yourself to make this choice as often as you remember, but then you let go of the outcome in the external reality and allow yourself to ease into this more conscious way of living life, completely on your terms. So, take this conscious approach and know what you aim for in your day-to-day tasks. It is not harder than what you've done so far. It's just that no one has told you that you have this choice, so you've practiced approaching things in a less functional manner, over and over again. And what we practice, we eventually turn into habits. This is an uncomfortable process since the ego wants to keep us in what is familiar, and thus, doing things differently will make us feel uncomfortable. But it's not an effort in the usual way. Rather, it's a need to push through the discomfort just to realize that the discomfort never had any foundation. And the more we push through the discomfort, the more the ego will lose its grip on us. Thus, small daily habits and attitudes shape who we are. If you want to change or improve aspects of your life, start with the small, manageable parts. This could be as simple as waking up a bit earlier, keeping your living space tidy, or dedicating a few minutes each day to learning something new. These small steps create momentum and build up to significant change. If you form the habit of showing up for yourself, doing what you say, and staying calm and organized as often as you are able to, this will eventually make you able to take on larger and larger tasks. Let's also consider the role of adaptability and resilience. How do you deal with small setbacks or challenges? Do you easily get disheartened, or do you view them as learning opportunities? This reaction is often mirrored in how you handle major life obstacles. Developing resilience in small matters prepares you to face larger trials with a more grounded and positive approach. It bears repeating that a one-size-fits-all approach is not functional here. It's important to recognize that everyone has off days or areas they struggle with more than others. The key is the overall pattern, not isolated incidents. How you do one thing is how you do everything prompts a reflective look at our general tendencies, not a judgment based on singular actions. The worst thing we can do is to start beating ourselves up because we don't always manage to be all that we know that we can be. Sometimes our bodies and brains simply say no. Sometimes they simply refuse to do anything other than a bad, sloppy job. And then the best thing we can do is to set the intention to not stay in this state longer than necessary while we accept where we are in the present moment. To sum it all up, the statement, "How you do one thing is how you do everything," serves as a powerful lens through which we can examine and improve our lives. It highlights the importance of consistency, integrity, and mindfulness in our daily actions, and suggests that our approach to small tasks can be indicative of our approach to life's larger challenges. By embracing this principle, we can foster habits and attitudes that lead to personal growth, professional success, and a more fulfilling life. Remember, it's not about achieving perfection in everything we do, but about fostering a consistent, conscious, positive approach that permeates all aspects of our lives. It's about consciously choosing where we place our focus, making the shift from forcing things to be a certain way on the outside to how we approach things on the inside. It's not about ignoring the bigger picture, but about placing our attention where it truly matters. Ultimately, it's about unlearning what doesn't work and learning a new, more joyful and effortless way of approaching life. Finally, this principle places the power of change and improvement in our daily actions. Small steps consistently taken lead to significant progress. This approach breaks down the often overwhelming task of personal transformation into manageable daily practices. We also don't have to be so focused on the results that we are getting. Instead, we recognize that we cannot control everything. We don't know where life is ultimately heading, and instead, we place our attention where we have control. By making the effort of being conscious, focused, and caring in all aspects of your life on your terms, you will inevitably change your inside and your external reality, and you will eventually be able to handle most of the things that come your way, including difficult ones and the ones that feel truly meaningful to you on a personal level. You've now reached the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for your time.